Whispering Woods is getting ready for the grand opening of Predator Ridge, the newest section of the sanctuary where rescued European carnivores get a second chance at life. Genevieve Joyce is so excited to have everyone along for the ride, and her main staff team, Jonathan Vaughn, accountant, Imogen Chen, head vet, Antonio Garcia, chief mechanic, Wesley Parsons, main zookeeper, and Anna Kingston, director of education and conservation, are more supportive than ever. Along the way, the zoo also features various species of deer, the Wisent Breeding Program, and a rewilding exhibit featuring beavers and raccoons. Under Kingston's direction, new education stations have been set up, providing much-needed conservation talks about the butterflies, the wisents, and the rescued raptors, a hit with the masses. As you join us for the official tour, you may also catch sight of Charlotte Baker, the editor of Whispering Woods' magazine Haven. She may even ask for an interview, so make sure to leave your honest impressions and reviews in the comments below. Brian Tomlinson, the zoo's neighbor and owner of that gorgeous house on the hill, has decided that retirement may not be right for him just yet. With a background in gardening and beekeeping, you may also see him hanging around to chat your ear off about pollinator-friendly plants. With that sorted, let's walk through those front gates and... I missed someone. Oh, right! Apologies, folks. We have a key member to introduce officially, and it is thanks to him that Predator Ridge exists at all. Arthur Joyce is the proud sponsor of this segment and, more recently, our jack of all trades, helping out the mechanics, the keepers, the caretakers, and the vendors whenever and wherever. We appreciate you. And there you have it, a wonderful staff, an amazing animal roster, and a sanctuary waiting for you with open arms. Welcome back to Whispering Woods, Wildlife Haven. Hey everyone, Sparrow here, and welcome to the grand finale of Season 1 of Whispering Woods. We're starting out at the entrance, which most of you would have seen already. There have been some new additions over to the left. There's an entrance gate and then also a staff area. And this is our beautiful entrance plaza, built all the way back in episode 1. Can't believe we're already on episode 15, that's absolutely crazy to me. Here is the butterfly garden dedicated to Vivian, Genevieve's grandmother. Hi Imogen, she's just wandering around. Our head vet. Behind those trees is our train station with its clock tower. And then over this way we have the petting zoo, which we toured back in episode 5. Over here will be our gift shop eventually. So if you haven't seen that tour of the petting zoo, I do recommend you go check out episode 5. It is a very long episode, but you can just watch the tour, not the speed build. Today we'll be starting over at the restaurant. This is the Lynx and Badger, I decided to name it. And there's inspiration taken from basically all of the English style pubs I've been to. We have quite a few of them in Canada, especially in some of the mountain towns. So I tried to kind of follow that muted, earthy tone look with lots of plants, lots of wood. And then also we get this gorgeous view of the deer and swan park from this covered sunroom patio-like thing. Lots of booth seating. I really like those lights on the ceiling with the rustic wheels. And here we also have a bar that I just created without really any inspiration pictures. But I think it does still remind of an English style pub. And then we do also have an outdoor patio with some green umbrellas. So once we make our way out of the restaurant, we're going to head down to the deer park. Here is the staff entrance to that deer park. As you can see, I've filled in some of the empty spaces. On our left, we now have a bunch of foliage and our green fence that marks the boundary. Lots of trees to provide shade for our guests as well as staff. And speaking of staff, we do have a staff building sort of hidden in the background here. And this is just a very basic build that I will probably be copying into other places should I need staff buildings anywhere else. So I tried to design it in a way where it's not particularly visible, it can kind of fade into the background. This is our deer park. It is quite popular, as you can see. I did have to put up this wooden fence here because the deer were getting way too stressed and they needed a place to hide. So that helped their stress levels a lot, and it gives people sort of a path to stick to because they're walking along that fence. Look at those adorable little swans. Just be careful of your steps so you don't step on them. And then we also do have quite a few fawns. Let's see if we can get nice and close to it. What a cutie. Imagine being up this close to a deer. I would definitely be having a very similar reaction. And then we also do have some insect hotels set up just to help with the pollination of all of the flowers in this meadow because there are quite a few of them. As we walk out of the deer park, we immediately see another deer enclosure. Very simple stable for this one. And the fences are based off of deer parks in the UK, so it doesn't look like a particularly great fence, but it does do the job. However, we can get a much better view of this enclosure from this viewing area. I love it when that stag stands on the rocks in the center. If you look carefully, you can also see the wild boars in the background running around. And as you can see, you do get quite a good view of them using some of their enrichment items. Next up on our list is the Wisent Breeding Program. So this is all due to Anna Kingston. This started when she joined the team, and the original Wisents were brought in from a zoo in Poland. There are 2 enclosures with 2 breeding populations, as it is part of a European breeding program that focuses on the conservation of Wisents in Europe. It does also have a nice big barn at the back. So the breeding program is working, as we can see, because there is a little one right here. How adorable. And of course, there is also an educational area. So over here is where our educator would stand. They can throw some food for the Wisents, make them come up super nice and close. And here is our secondary paddock. Here's a view inside of that big Wisent barn. Very modern, very clean. Really love this build. Now onto something new that has not been seen on the channel before. We have some snack stands. These are inspired by a build from Nausicaa, which you can find on the Steam Workshop. I really love the yellow of it because they are standing in front of the Pollinator Garden, which is why you can see that wall of hexagons in the background. These insect hotels and bee boxes are off of the workshop. And within this pillar here that you see these people standing next to, I actually hid vista points to make sure that people would come in here and take a look at these bee boxes, or at least look like they are looking at them. So this is where you would normally find Brian Tomlinson, our neighbor and new beekeeper, probably talking your ear off about the bees. Now we can head down the hill. Along the way, we have another very important enclosure for raccoons, which are, it's illegal to breed them in the UK, including in zoos, so they are all on contraceptives, as well as the beavers. They have a beautiful underwater view here. And beavers are slowly making a comeback in the UK. They are so important for the environment because they are basically building wetlands, and wetlands increase biodiversity. So they are very beneficial for the environment, and the recent rewilding efforts for the Eurasian beaver have been absolutely amazing, and we want to educate people about that. So here is our education center. We can see our beaver. And then over on the other side, we have the raccoon. So it's just a little diorama. See if you can spot who infiltrated our little office here. We have a pretend window with some raccoon facts. Oh, and then maybe that might be our perpetrator right up there. Over on this other side, we do have some information about how beavers are a keystone species, and then a little fun game for the children to play, who is who, to look at their different paws, and you also get a glimpse into their backstage. The raccoons do also have a separate backstage area that they can climb into on the second level of that backstage building. But personally, this is my favorite view because you get a gorgeous, gorgeous lookout over their lake and you can see them crawling around on the land. So from here, it's time to get into Predator Ridge. First up, we have our Predators of the Skies. So this is our Raptor Talks area. This is where our educators or keepers would be flying the birds. And this is a very big hit with the guests. We have 2 species of owls, as well as a red kite, a pair of hen harriers, and then we also have a white-tailed eagle. So Raptor Talks every weekend, join us for them. And right behind the seating, we also have some food and drink. Welcome to Peckish. On the other side of that walkway, we have our wolves. Thank you so much to Digital Blob for these amazing screenshots. Within the building, we do have a pretty robust backstage area. As you can see, they do love to sleep in here. And their enclosure is a very wooded area. Lots of places for them to hide, but also quite natural, quite rocky, a lot of plant cover, but also lots of meadows for them to roll around in and play and just run around and be wolves. We have about 6 of them in here. Our pack is going to be growing soon, and that is very, very exciting. Here is a statue of the first wolf that we ever had at the zoo. And back there you can see the staff only area, so that leads to the backstage buildings for the Wisent and a lot of our predators. And then finally, we also have a viewpoint here in this log cabin where you can get nice and up close to the wolves and get a peek into that meadow area in the back. As we continue down the pathway, we get to see our Wolverines. Very sloped enclosure. We have that gorgeous waterfall in the back. I still have yet to see the Wolverines climb across it, but they do like to hang out by the pond. This model is absolutely stunning. It's my first time building for the Wolverines, and if you haven't done so already, I would highly recommend. They're decently easy to spot in this enclosure, even though it is quite heavily planted and they are quite small creatures. They also have a backstage area where they can climb to their heart's content. And then we can walk over to our Lynx enclosure. These are 2 separate enclosures for breeding purposes, so they can be either joined or closed off from each other should the male need to be in a separate enclosure from the female and that adorable baby lynx. And as we walk up this hill, you can get a better view of the expanse that is their enclosure, and also a little view into their indoor area. There we have a lynx going through the separation gate. And that finishes off Predator Ridge basically, but we still have more to look at, including the wild boar enclosure. This one is quite large. We currently have 3 boars in here, and they do have a small backstage area. We can get a short glimpse into it through this window. The first female boar in here was rescued by Wesley and Arthur because she was terrorizing a playground, and so that's obviously not safe for the boar or for the children, and so she was brought here to enjoy her life and be more protected. And since boars are quite social animals, we did find 2 more females for her to hang out with. So this will be our breeding population should we find a male in need, but as of right now, the 3 females are having a great time. As we continue down the path, we see our red foxes. The original two were found by Brian Tomlinson in his backyard, and these foxes are actually several generations away from those now. Red foxes are part of the main conservation program here at Whispering Woods, and they were actually the first animal to be released into the wild by the Haven. And finally, we have our European badgers. This undertree burrow is off of the workshop. Do check out any workshop items in my collection below. The European badger enclosure is built around this old mill. And there is also a fun scavenger hunt for children and adults alike where you can find these various topiary animals all around the enclosure. It's a tiered habitat with lots of flowers, so hopefully the badgers are loving it as much as I love looking at it. I hope you enjoyed this tour of Whispering Woods Wildlife Haven. Remember to leave a comment for a chance to be featured in Haven's next magazine issue. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already to make sure that you don't miss out on season 2, and I will see you next time. Bye.